Coming up now on Animal Outtakes,
We want happy babies, don't we?
we head to Bearadise Ranch in Myakka, Florida, to learn about their mission to promote conservation for bears.
This is an umbrella species, bears. That means other animals in the wild rely on their survival for their own.
And to find out what they're up against, both environmentally and politically. Plus, human-crocodile conflict. It can be quite a problem in many parts of the world. We hear from a well-known croc expert about his latest adventures and how he's hoping to make a difference. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Bearadise Ranch is home to the Weldy family bears. What began in Norway in 1926 as a fascination with bears has now grown into a bigger mission. One, to educate humans on the importance of habitat preservation and conservation for all bears. We met up with Myakka Weldy, who we've highlighted on the show in the past. She spends her days working on the ranch, where her 9 bears call home. She's doing everything she can to preserve their way of life, but the global pandemic and growing political pressure have made it tough.
Come on over here, Ginger. She's almost 30 years old. She was born in our family. Sit, baby. Good girl. You got a kiss for Mama? Oh, thank you. Thank you, baby. You want a dog biscuit? My bears love dog biscuits.
Myakka, we're here today in this magnificent and idyllic place called Bearadise. Look who we've got watching us right here. Aren't they absolutely precious?
My family members.
Yeah. And you call them your old girls, but are they really?
Well, in the bear world, they would be considered old. Carol on the far right is 25 years old. And in the wild, that's about their lifespan on average. Ginger is almost 30 years old. So in bear world, yeah, they're a little bit up there.
And you know they're holding up well.
Yes, they're very agile. They're very active. They like to swim. They swim here in their little pools and they go to the pond. I take them over there. So they get to stay very active and they're doing real well. The veterinarian comes and checks on them so they get their checkups.
Things are good,
yes.
Yeah.
Here's my kisses. Thank you. Bambi and Bruno were used for Walt Disney's animated movie Brother Bear. They used them to make the characters Coda and Kenai. Hi, baby. Sit, 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 sit. Sit up, sit, sit, sit. Good boy. Sit up, sit up, sit up. There's my boy. Give me kisses. Mwah. Can you say you're happy you have visitors? Yes, you're clapping because you're so happy. This is my baby Bruno. Mwah. What a good boy. He loves dog biscuits too.
We've been with you so many times and we see these magnificent habitats.
Well, we have done some construction this last year with COVID. Due to COVID, we were shut down like everyone else. So we took advantage of that. Fish and Wildlife, which I'm licensed by here in Florida, they changed some of their laws and rulings. So I went from an 8-foot fence to a 12-foot fence with the 45 in. So while we did that, we also added this new bear house for the older girls. So this is where they live now. And then the pond, we went all the way around the pond with the 12-foot all the way around so they have access to the full area there.
We obviously knew your husband, who has since passed, and known you for so long. And we admire and we respect what you're doing for these bears. And we also know that you're putting up with a lot of stress regarding this. You are an animal advocate.
Yes, I am.
Give us your position.
Well, my bears and I share a special relationship, a human-animal bond that you gain with trust, mutual love and respect. But we also share a partnership. Our job together is to teach the public about bears and what they're facing in the wild today. There's 8 species of bears on our planet, Marcia, and 6 out of the 8 are threatened or endangered. That's due to man, loss of habitat, we all see that, and poaching. So if people don't see these animals up close in this type of environment or like a zoo type, you know, they don't get that respect and appreciation for the animal. You can't get that from a book or a computer screen. When you see them interact with myself, you gain a different type of appreciation. The intelligence and the beauty of these animals. And they gain an appreciation and maybe want to get involved in conservation. I've been with bears 40 years and it's a wonderful life. I don't consider it a job when you love what you're doing.
Yeah, it's not a job. And Johnny came from a history.
Oh yes, definitely a lot of history. The bears have been in the family, the Weldy family, for over 90 years. My husband's grandparents, Johnny Johnson Weldy, his grandfather came from Norway. Weldy is pronounced Velda in Norway, but here in America they pronounce the W. But they came from Europe back in 1946, brought the bears over. They were on Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus from 1947, 1948. They did shrine circuses and theme parks and zoos. Then they went into Hollywood and trained the bears for Walt Disney movies. So they have movie stars in their family.
Absolutely.
And worked with Walt Disney himself.
How about that?
There's a lot of history in the family.
Do you ever get that tinge of concern when you're with the bears? Are they all right today? Am I doing all right for them?
Well,
How
Marsha,
careful do I have to be?
I never forget this is a bear. And that's what his grandfather always taught me. Never forget this is a bear first. Yes, we can have a relationship with them, a partnership, but they are a bear and they have bear instincts. Let's just say you never want to make a bear mad.
Yeah, you always want to respect them.
They have teeth and claws, and yes, they can do some damage, definitely, but we don't want to give them a reason to do that. We love our bears. They know we love them. They also know if you fear them, they're very intelligent. So we want them happy, content, and full bellies.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because bears think with their stomachs.
Absolutely. You know, you and I, being in the animal business, we know all of the things that are swirling around, and some of the issues that are being brought up today are really not very good and not very good for future generations. There is a huge push to curtail or stop completely bears and primates and the ownership of them and so on. Tell us a little bit about that and your feelings.
Well, unfortunately, there is a movement out there that opposes all animal ownership, whether it's a dog, a cat, a goldfish, and a mole, or bears, tigers, lions, elephants. Like I said before, it goes back to why do we have these animals? Well, for a purpose, to educate. People can learn about them, see them up close, learn their see their personalities. They're more than just a bear. That's more than just a bear. She's got a personality.
She has a soul.
Yes, and she's a breathing, living animal. And I appreciate that. I respect her for that. And I treat them accordingly. I love my bears. I never want to see them unhappy or you know, sad or anything like that. I want them enriched. These animals are so intelligent. They need constant mental and physical stimulation. Think about bears in the wild. How are they mentally and physically stimulated? By using survival skills. They have to find food, shelter, mama bears protect their cubs. That gets their adrenaline pumping. But in human care, they need a lot of enrichment to compensate for that mental and physical stimulation. Well, having toys to play with is important. Even training, teaching them little things, behaviors is important. It stimulates them mentally, physically. Also, having a natural habitat where they can just be a bear for a while. You know, just be a bear. That's what we want our bears to be, a bear. But also, like I said, the relationship. The greatest form of enrichment is actually the relationship that we share with them. They thrive on the daily physical contact, loving, petting, communication. Just like your pets at home, they want to love and attention. So do my bears. Mm-hmm. They know I love them. They know if you fear them. They're very smart. But unfortunately, there is a movement out there that doesn't want to see people like me own an animal like this. And 98% of the people do. They enjoy watching these animals here, watching them learn a behavior, or even just being a bear, just swimming and playing. You know, they enjoy seeing them up close. It's a much different environment here at Bearadise than it is to your average zoo.
Sure.
But zoos do a wonderful job for conservation. They have to. If animals disappear from our human care, they will disappear in the wild, definitely.
For more information on Bearadise Ranch or the opportunity to visit and see for yourself firsthand what it's like to be a Weldy bear, you can go to their website or find them on social media. Coming up next on Animal Outtakes, we find out what's being done to protect these apex predators in the wild.
I think something happened to my family. I'm scared and lonely. What's going to happen to me now?
Don't worry, Sonny. Our loving staff at Dante's Den will take care of all your pet needs for the rest of your life. A warm bed, toys, great food, walking, and swimming is all at your paw tips. And if you get sick, there is even a hospital and medical staff to help you get well. Dante's Den, continuing the love.
Today we're visiting with Flavio Morrissiey, and you are a world traveler, so this is really an honor to have you sitting in a chair, and we're going to be able to talk to you. And I've known him for a great many years, and I have to catch up with him because he's always on special projects. And I know that you have one that's near and dear to your heart now, and that you are really hopping all over the world for. Tell us about it.
All right, so the project we're working with is human-crocodile conflict. It's a problem with crocodiles, but this is not just with crocodiles. The IUCN, which is a international organization, they are looking at all these different conflicts around the world between humans and different species like elephants and bears, and you can have hippos and crocodiles, or one of them sharks, things like that. Things that eat people that have the potential to do some damage. And I particularly work with crocodiles, specifically the crocodile we have here in Florida called the American crocodile. And that croc is found anywhere in the Caribbean, basically. Most of the Caribbean isles, from like Jamaica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, you name it, the whole general outlook. So they're found in all these different places. And all those places are different cultures. You go to each island, each country, they have a whole other mindset when it comes to wildlife. So when you go to these countries to work with the people, because you're not necessarily working with the crocodiles, you're more or less working with the people and teaching them how to get along with crocodiles. And then also a portion of that is teaching the crocodiles to get along with the people, or to avoid people, more or less. And so this is the undertaking that we've gone. We started this project about 2 years ago in Belize, was our first area. And it was a frequented place that tourists, that would go to. They didn't go there on their own. The only way that these tourists could find out about it was, there'd be
through a native.
Yes, through one of the natives. And in Belize, you have two different cultures. You have Mayans, and then you have Creole.
Does that make a difference?
It makes a huge difference. Crocodiles can tell the details. They can tell if you're walking, they can see if you have a limp. They can see if you're hunching over. They can tell if you're probably young or old based on the voice. Just like, if you're holding a baby crocodile, they go, meow, meow. They bark. As they get older, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and then they don't cry anymore. They stop crying at a certain age.
Because they're so big, they don't have to.
Every once in a while, you get a big one that does cry. But anyway, they can point out these details a mile away. And they have to, because in the crocodile world, you're not tall. You're only about this tall on top of the water. So when you're in that point, you can see line of sight, but you can also hear. If you ever want to do an experiment, get in the water real low and talk to someone across the pool. Your voices carry all the way across the pool, so you can talk back and forth just at whispers at maybe 50 feet away. So that's the way crocs look, so they're very detail oriented. Anyway, when these crocs are in this position, they start to hang out in these areas because people are feeding them, and they're feeding them very rich foods like chicken. And chicken doesn't run around in the wild. They usually eat crabs. They're going to maybe eat a scrawny bird, things like that, maybe fish, scraps. And so when you bring them a nice fat chicken, that's a lot of calories. It tastes good. It's great meat. It's better than eating garbage, So they start congregating in this particular area, and just maybe 2 acres, you would have up to 35 to 45 crocodiles, adults. And when I say adults, I'm talking maybe 4 to 4.5 meters in some of the cases. That's a big crocodile.
And that equates to?
Oh, that's between 13 to maybe 15 feet. Okay. So, pretty good size for max out. But then there's some smaller ones, like 5 to 6 feet, and those smaller ones are fast, so they can move really quickly. So in starting this project, I did an experiment, and I said, well, let me look on YouTube. So I just typed in some simple words. I said, crocodiles in Belize, feeding crocodiles in Belize. So I typed that in and watched all these videos, and I was like, this is what I'm dealing with. And then so happens the study area that we went to was being filmed. So people would go there and they would feed them. And I did a presentation to the government at Belize, and also Dr. Marissa Tellez, which she's the one that's kind of brought me into this, and I really thank her for that, because it gives us a chance to solve this problem. But when we did the presentation, I showed the videos, and I did just a simple one. The guy would have a piece of chicken, throw it out on a string, and bait. The crocodile would rush over, and you get excited. And then the last video was, it kind of progressed and got, scarier. And they had one of the tourists walk into the water and just kind of put her arm around the crocodile, an adult crocodile, just mouth wide open, and getting her picture going, hey, and not looking. The crocodile's behind her, and she's got her hand right on top of the head. So I was like, whoa, this is amazing. So anyway, seeing all that, I'm like, this could turn into a major problem. If a tourist gets killed or injured by a crocodile, that could ruin a lot of tourism, and also, not to mention, it's going to kill the crocs. It demonizes the crocodiles at that point. So as soon as we saw these things, we had said, hey, let's see if we can change this a little bit. So the method is we involve locals and we involve the crocodiles. So the crocodiles come over and they want to come out and get their chickens. So we are encouraging them to come over, but when they come over, they don't get anything. And there's a couple cues that we find that they look for. First is a golf cart, because they got to come in, and they drive in on a golf cart because it's a tourist area. Everybody's got the golf carts around. So they hear that golf cart and they're like, oh, it's dinner time. So we kept driving up in a golf cart repeatedly all day, but they didn't get anything. There's nothing being given. So eventually it got extinguished. And so that was one thing. The other one was we would try to catch the crocodiles, but we didn't want to catch them. We wanted them to get away. Usually if you ever try to catch an animal and it gets away from you, the second time trying to catch it is going to be a little bit more difficult. So that's what we wanted to teach the crocodiles, that, hey, you can get away and stay away. Then we started counting the behaviors among the whole group of crocodiles all around. And there's two behaviors that we looked at, undesired and desired behavior. A desired behavior was we'd walk over, the crocodile would sink down and disappear. Another one would be to go away. So those are desired behaviors. Now, undesired behavior is a crocodile that turns its head in your direction, also comes to your direction, or comes out of the water up to your body. Those are undesired behaviors. So we looked at those and we counted them and we graphed them. You can see that when we first got there, we counted all these undesired behaviors versus desired behaviors, and it was, this way. But by the time we got done, then we saw a change.
Now you're telling us really that the crocs have exceptional intelligence.
Yes, they're super smart. They learn very quickly. They're predators. And when you're a predator, you're going to learn very quickly. So we did work with this area, and we taught them to stay away from us. And by the end of the 4 days, and when we first got there, we counted them all, and each day we count when we worked. And so at the end of it, there was about half the crocodiles that were there on the first day. And then we gave instructions to some security guards that monitored that area. All we did was drive your cart up and show them a pole. That's it, a fishing pole. We just left an old fishing pole with them, and they would show them that pole. That fishing pole was associated with almost being caught a few times. And so by doing that, it stopped the crocodiles coming over. The other thing they did was put simple signs up, do not enter. We didn't want to put do not enter because of crocodiles. What if you want to go see crocodiles? Where's the place to go?
But these signs are for the humans.
These signs are for the humans, yes. I've often mentioned, hey, can we put a sign up for the crocodile?
Two-way sign.
So if we teach some crocodiles, hey, there's a certain signal or something like that, a target or something that they shouldn't go into, then we can possibly do that. We can teach these crocodiles in that general area, especially all large ones. If we had to approach them, show them this target, and then anytime they see that, to stay away from it. So that's a possibility too. But we haven't figured out quite how to package this and say, here's your plan. So because there's so many different cultures to deal with, because not every culture is going to approach it the same way. So we have to find these ways to do so. So talking to the people and designating it. And we're going to have to target problem areas one at a time. And that's basically what we're doing right now. So we're still learning a lot, and we're writing it all down. We're producing graphs so we can see if there's progress or if there's regress. And so it's pretty interesting to watch this stuff. I've learned a lot just by doing it, and I've worked with crocs for 30 years, but now it seems like I'm learning more now than I did 10 years ago.
You have had some very exciting adventures, and we've followed some of them through the years. But I always ask myself, why does he do this?
You know, I think because when you're, I don't know, when you're a kid and you go, hey, I want to go see what's over on the other side of that hill, and you get over to the other side of the hill, and then when you're over there, you're like, hey, what's on the other side of the next hill? So I'm just keeping looking towards the next hill or ocean or whatever. And I love the idea of culture and crocs. And that's what I've been focusing on. I like a lot of other things too, especially the food. That's my favorite. But when you do those things, you get to learn a lot more about the animals from a different perspective. Because when you're just in the same spot, let's say you work at a zoo, like here at Sarasota Jungle Gardens or anywhere else, when you do that and you never leave that boundary, you never know what the animals are like outside that boundary. So I want to find the answers, that's all. I just want to find answers and pass them down. Well,
we know that you're going to be heading out very, very soon. So we'd like to catch up with you again and see what the new...
Yeah, if you want to know what's going on, where we travel, and we also invite people on some of these trips to do some of this conservation. If anyone is ever interested, you can go to younameit.tours.com or ynitours.com, either one. We have trips to do all kinds of things, whether if you like birds, I do bird conservation as well. I do all kinds of things, because you just don't go for crocodiles. Sometimes you're saying, hey, there's another problem. So if you can help other things, we like to invite people for any age groups, families. I take just about anyone, and I kind of tailor the trip around the whole conservation message.
Well, we're going to catch up with you again, and I'm going to start packing my shoes. If you're interested in learning more about this project or how you can get involved, go to crocodileresearchcoalition.org. And if you're the brave, adventurous type, you can book a tour yourself and head out with Flavio on his next adventure. Just go to younameit.tours.com. Coming up next on Animal Outtakes, our latest Breaking Barriers segment. We show you how a little love and a lot of training can go a long way.
Vinny is a lab pit bull mix. He's a great dog. We got the phone call in the evening. Marcia got it directly while she was still here at Dante's Den. He was at the veterinarian's office being ready to be put down. Vinny was on acepromazine and trazodone when one of the vet techs came in and said, whoa, hold on a minute. Let's call Dante's Den. They called Dante's, and Marcia sent me right over there to evaluate Vinny. Vinny is the first dog to take my shoes off of me, right? So he was a little aggressive. he had a lot going on at home at the time. So Vinny was used to being home with Jean and Lisa. Then Lisa's and Jean's daughter came back with her husband, with their daughter Isabel. Hi, Isabel. And then the other son, Dylan, moved back in with his 2 sons. So there was a lot going on. Vinny was a little confused. There was a little bit of chaos. Wasn't sure where he belonged on the pecking order. So now we brought Vincent back here. He was getting to be super aggressive. We were able to break him down through our behavior modification program with Doggevity. He's getting work 7 days a week, twice a day, right? So we have to be able to get him to cohabitate into an environment that's very chaotic, right? So when you put all those people into that environment, the dog doesn't know where he belongs. Before he was allowed to be Vin the dog, and now he's like, what's going on? What's going on? I got everybody calling me. And so what we're doing is we're trying to get him back to where he can be calm in the house and just have a great and happy life. As you can see, I mean, this is not a dog you would put down. And he is becoming such an awesome dog.
Stay with us. There's more Animal Outtakes coming up next. Animal Outtakes is produced by Dante's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dante's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org. We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. We'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching.
Did you see me on a hammock?
You know what? If you're exhausted, tired, hungry, all that, a hammock's gonna seem really nice to you, especially when you look at the ground.
I'm not a hammock. I can't ever figure out how to get into them.